Buying a ukulele. Ukuleles, you can get a good ukulele for well under $100. This one cost about $35. This is one that I got for my wife. I run a multi-teacher studio, and my wife works at the front desk. She's played bass with me for a while, and played a little bit of guitar and some other stuff in college. So she's got a little bit of a music background, but it's been a while. She mentioned really wanting to play ukulele, so I went out and got her this one. It was about 35 bucks. The one that I use mostly is a Lanakai. They go for around 80 for the tenor size. But for well under 100, you can get a very solid ukulele. So don't go out thinking that you need to spend a ton to get this. Now let's talk about kind of what you should look for when you buy. First thing is just give it a look. If it looks like a toy, it is. That's the easy truth there. Try to get something that's made of wood and not plastic. If it just, use your judgment. If it looks like a toy, it's a toy. So this one's a little bit better. You can tell it's made of some zebra wood there. It's got kind of like this cool little etching stuff that's in there. This is a caramel. Ukulele, a few brands you can look out for. Lanakai is pretty good. Macala. Luna, if you want to spend a little more, has some pretty cool stuff. There's a few others I just can't think of off the top of my head, but there's some really good ones. You can look at Amazon, Guitar Center if you've got one near you, or check out your local guitar stores. They're more than happy to help, and there's a lot in a very good price range, I'm sure. Here's the real things to look for, though. First is tuners on the back. These are what are called geared tuners. See the little gears right here? When you tune, they have little teeth that they hang onto, just like gears work. So the idea is when you're tuning this is how you tune it to a certain note. If they don't have geared tuners, they have tension tuners. And these were more popular 50, 60 years ago. The idea is with the tension tuners, you push and turn, but over time, they just kind of loosen up. So it's really hard to keep them in tune. Geared tuners are the way to go. That's what they look like so that you can see them. Try to kind of put it there so you can see them. So see the little gears right next to the notches. As you tune those, the little teeth hold it in place, and they're going to hold in tune pretty well. The other thing is the action. So action is how far the strings are from the neck. So this is going to come in common when you're playing later. It's how far you have to push the string down. So you want them to be pretty close. You can see kind of in between there, these are pretty close all the way through. If the string is very far up from the fretboard, that means you're going to have to push down really far. This is called the action. So you want to make sure the action is pretty low. On cheaper instruments, the action is going to be pretty bad. Other things to look out for, and this is kind of harder on ukulele, especially the cheaper ones, is intonation, which is how it sounds as you play it up the neck. For most of the stuff that we're playing, we're going to be in the first few frets, so it's not going to matter as much, but if you're playing stuff where you need to get like higher up on the ukulele, intonation can be a thing. So if you're doing stuff that uses a lot of melodies and a lot of different notes, you might want to pay a little bit more for one that has really good intonation as it works its way up. Ukulele sizes. Okay, there's 4 sizes of ukulele. This is called the concert size. It's the second from the biggest. I think of it kind of like choir, because it's kind of that way. You have soprano, concert, tenor, and baritone. Okay? The smallest 3 are the soprano, concert, and tenor. Soprano is the one that you think of. When you think ukulele and just the cute little thing, think Tiny Tim. That's a soprano. Just this little tiny ukulele. They're fun. Most of my younger students, say maybe 10 and under, use a soprano ukulele. I have one that I use around the studio all the time too. It's not like they're too small in there for kids. They're just a little bit smaller. This is the concert size, like I said in this video or the other one. I bought this one for my wife. She's just average size. She's about 5'4". This is a really great size for her because it's a little bit bigger. She can hold it. It fits a little bit better without it being too big or too small. I personally use the tenor size. If you're a little bit taller as a woman or if you're a guy, a tenor size is a good size. I like it too because I can play around with it a little more. It gives me a little more room in between the frets when I'm doing stuff that's higher up and not just chord stuff. Especially coming from a guitar background, having one that's a little bit bigger helps me. The other thing is I can put it on my leg to play, whereas with the concert I hold up against my body, and we'll talk about positioning in a little bit as well. The biggest one is the baritone ukulele, and it is, we'll talk about tuning in a second, but it's the only one that's tuned differently, and it's kind of like a little guitar. It's almost like a half size or 3/4 size guitar. It's a pretty good size. When you think about ukulele, you're not thinking about the baritone size. You're not going to come across those too often. I would kind of put those out of mind for as far as what we're going to do because it's tuned differently. It's just a little bigger. It's a really cool instrument in its own. Everything's a little bit different. So we're primarily going to talk about the soprano size, the concert size, and the tenor size. If you just go out to the store and just buy a ukulele, it's probably going to be the soprano one because that's what you're going to see. The concert size is what I would recommend for most ladies, small guys. If you're, say, 5'5", 5'6", and under, I would say this. If you're above, say, 5'6", look into the tenor size. And then also, depending on what you want to do, if you want to do a lot of stuff where you're moving up the neck, look into a tenor or a concert, a bigger size. If you just want something small and cute that you can bring around your house, the soprano is great. Other cool thing is they're really cheap, so you can buy a few of them. I've got a soprano, concert, and tenor in addition to my wife's, and I think total I may have paid $200 for all 4 of them. They're pretty cheap. They're all great stuff. I don't have the top of the line ones, but they're all very solid instruments, very capable instruments. They hold their tune. They sound great, and you can just do a bunch of them for small prices. So in general, probably a concert or tenor size is what you're looking for. Make sure they've got geared tuners. Make sure that the action is pretty good. Make sure that it's made of wood and not plastic. So there's your buying guide. There's your sizes. In a second, we're going to talk about the parts of the ukulele and finger numbers.